It was a busy Friday morning at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The sound of rolling suitcases, announcements over the loudspeakers, and impatient travelers filled the terminal. Amid the chaos, a tall, quiet man stood in line at the boarding gate, dressed simply in a worn-out jacket and carrying an old leather bag. His name was John Kennedy, a name that would soon echo through the terminal in a way no one expected. At first glance, John looked like any other weary traveler. His clothes were old, his shoes scuffed, and his hair slightly unkempt. To the airport staff, he seemed like someone out of place, yet perhaps a drifter or a man without direction. When the gate attendant asked for his boarding pass, John calmly reached into his pocket, but before he could pull it out, another passenger complained that he was holding up the line. What happened next spiraled out of control. A young airport employee, clearly stressed by the morning rush, told John to step aside. John politely explained that he just needed a moment to find his pass, but instead of patience, he was met with sharp words and cold stares. Moments later, two security staff arrived. Thinking he was causing trouble, they escorted him out of the line, telling him to wait outside until the situation was resolved. The scene caught the attention of several bystanders, who whispered among themselves, assuming he must have done something wrong. John didn't argue. He didn't shout. He simply nodded, stepped aside, and sat quietly near the window while his hands trembling slightly. One of the flight attendants watching from the counter shook her head in disapproval, whispering to a coworker, "Why do we get people like that every day?" But within minutes, everything changed. As the flight attendants prepared to close the gate, a middle-aged man ran up to the counter, panting. "Excuse me," he said breathlessly, "I just got off the phone with someone named John Kennedy." "Is he still here?" The attendant looked confused. "He's the one we asked to leave the boarding area," she said. The man's expression froze. "You kicked him out?" he asked, his voice rising in disbelief. He's the former Air Force pilot who saved over 50 people during the Colorado mountain storm back in 1996. Silence fell over the entire gate. Every staff member turned their head toward the quiet man sitting alone by the window. John Kennedy, the man they dismissed as an inconvenience, was a decorated veteran who had risked his life decades earlier to save others. His name wasn't just a coincidence. It was a name engraved in the hearts of those who remembered the rescue mission that became national news. The supervisor hurried over, apologizing profusely. "Mr. Kennedy, we are so sorry for the misunderstanding. Please come with us. Your seat is ready." John looked up slowly, his tired eyes reflecting a mixture of sadness and grace. He smiled faintly and said just one word, "Forgiven." The staff froze. No anger, no blame, just forgiveness. The simple word hit harder than any reprimand ever could. Some of the staff lowered their heads in shame, others had tears in their eyes. The young employee who had told him to leave whispered, "I'm so sorry, a broken bar, I didn't know." John placed a gentle hand on the man's shoulder. "Most people don't," he said quietly. "That's why we should treat everyone with kindness, so you never know what battles they've fought." As he walked toward the plane, a few passengers clapped softly. The sound grew louder until the whole terminal seemed to join in, applauding not just a honor but a message. That day, every person at the gate learned something unforgettable: respect costs nothing, but its absence can break hearts. Later that evening, a short video of the incident surfaced online, taken by a traveler who had witnessed the entire thing. Within hours, it spread across social media. Millions watched as John Kennedy, a humble hero, responded to humiliation with compassion. Comments flooded in. Greater than that one word hit harder than any lecture. True strength is shown in forgiveness. This is the kind of man the world needs more of. The airport later issued a public apology and invited John to speak at their annual employee seminar about dignity and respect. He accepted not to embarrass anyone, but to remind them of a simple truth: titles fade, uniforms change, but humanity remains. John Kennedy's story became a lesson shared in classrooms, workplaces, and online platforms around the world. It wasn't just about a man being wronged, it was about the power of responding to cruelty with grace. And every time someone recalls that day at O'Hare, they remember his quiet strength, his calm presence, and that single, unforgettable word that turns shame into redemption. Forgiven. This story reminds us that kindness should never depend on appearances. Behind every face is a story we don't yet know, and sometimes, a hero we've already forgotten.